founder and CEO of the 90 Degree Agencies here, is very active in the Republican Party, and we're going to talk to him about various issues, local, state, and national. Okay, welcome to the show, Bob.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. First of all, I wanted to thank you for bringing Mr. Bird last time. I know that was...
it was a good show for him.
Yes.
I know he enjoyed it, and people around the district enjoyed seeing him on the show, and it was good for him to get on and talk issues, and I appreciate you having him.
I know it was, he hadn't been in camera. I think it was pretty, to start off was pretty hard for him, but he did pretty well. I was very surprised. He did pretty well.
You know, being on the ranch every day, coming into a TV studio, it's a little different experience, but I think he enjoyed it, and I think he did well.
Yeah. We'll get into the local and state stuff. Let's go to the national.
Okay.
Okay. I know the sequester was the thing that I know we both wanted to kind of talk about. Tell us from your point of view, I know the sequester more or less just the spending cuts that they're talking about, general military, about 13% military defense and 8% non-defense related. Tell us in your opinion what you think from the Republican Party perspective and how it came about. Because I know you voted for it too. It was a bipartisan act that passed.
Right. The sequester was from a failure of being able to pass a budget. And, you know, the Republicans in the House presented different budgets that passed. The Senate didn't pass a budget till last week, the first time in almost 4 years. And the sequester is a result of that. Automatic cuts were in place to go off what they called the fiscal cliff, which was, you know, deep cuts. But New Mexico got hit really hard. $44 million in defense and energy cuts in New Mexico. And
yeah, that was my next question. How does it affect us here?
Right. In New Mexico, $44 million, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. It is a lot when you come down to it. It's you know, 11 billion in the south at Holloman, and most of it Kirtland and Los Alamos, and those will get hit the hardest. That's jobs lost. That's
and those are the defense. And what you think about the non-defense?
Non-defense education almost got hit just as hard. You know, it's a 45 and a 41, and so 41 for education, and most of that was special ed programs. And so if you have a child in special ed, they may not be receiving the services that they should be receiving.
You know, they keep talking about there's certain areas that don't get hit by the sequester. Education, Medicare, Social Security.
But education does.
Now, tell us from your point of view exactly where education will get hit, because they're saying that it doesn't.
In New Mexico, special programs, if you have a special needs child, whether gifted or in other facilities, some of those teachers will be laid off. Some of those teachers will see pay cuts, or they will have to take off certain days in order to meet the budgetary needs. Same thing with the military. The military contractors are being asked to take off 22 days for the rest of the year. And, you know, 22 days is, you know, a lot of money for these people. And, you know, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 cuts to their paycheck for having to take mandatory cuts and mandatory days off.
Nationally, I know the things are getting heated with North Korea. It was all over the news. I know he's flexing his muscles. I know he just came in. They're not going to cut anything as far as any wars, anything that deals with wars and things like that. According to your research, what do you feel that exactly is going to cut with vis-a-vis the defense-related cuts?
Well, I think when they do pass a budget, I think there will be minimal cuts.
Do you know there's a confusing point there when they say nothing to do with the wars are going to get affected? But
right.
Exactly.
But there's research, there's training missions going on in southern New Mexico, in Holloman, and in Clovis at Cannon Air Force Base. And those people that train there end up going to Afghanistan and Iraq. New Mexico does a lot of training for the folks that go on tours of duty into Afghanistan. And so it has to affect it. If these people are taking 22 days off and they're not around, it's gotta affect something. And so you would think that you know, these cuts, even though on the big picture it's not making a huge deal, it's making a difference on the local ground here in New Mexico.
Overall, I know we have very limited time on the show. Let's go on to the other side of the economy there.
Okay.
President won his second term. From your point of view, I know you tried very hard. Romney came up short. Okay. How is the Republican Party preparing as far as locally? I know statewide. How do you feel that? Are you guys catching up? Do you feel like you'll do better in the midterms?
I hope so. You know, it has to do with candidate recruitment. It has to do with message. I think the message wasn't bad. I think our messenger was bad. I don't think Mitt Romney, as a presidential candidate in that year, being contrast, there are a lot of people that were going through hard times, and we ran the richest candidate ever. And it's hard to...
Yeah, because money was no object there.
No.
He didn't have a money issue.
No, it was not a
all.
money issue. But the thing is that sometimes it's the messenger. It's not always the message. And when people are hurting, when people are, you know, paycheck to paycheck, and there's a millionaire, multimillionaire running saying, you know, this is the way it's got to be, well, you know, a lot of those issues don't affect an everyday New Mexican. And that's why I think he lost New Mexico overwhelmingly, is because he just didn't reach out to New Mexicans.
Overall, I think he did pretty well. But then there was shortcomings there. I think he made some comment about the 47%.
Right.
That really hurt him. And I think he didn't do so well with the Latino vote.
Right.
I think he had like 22%, something
right,
to that
which
effect,
is, you know, half of what George W. Bush received in
Correct.
2000 and 2004.
Correct.
He received 45% of the vote of Hispanics across the country. And we're going to have to do that. It's you know, Hispanics are the fastest growing population in the United States. And so we're going to have to be able to speak to them person to person about issues that matter to them. And, you know, sometimes the issues that the Republican Party gets caught in isn't an issue that, you know, you're talking about with your family at the kitchen table at night. You know, people are worried about jobs, they're worried about education and how, you know, how they're going to feed their kids. And beyond that, there's not a whole lot of other issues that are of concern, you know, that are too important to them. And so they want to know how you're going to fix that, how you're going to get, you know, if your kid's graduating college, how are we going to get a job, and things like that. So we have to talk about those things.
So I know the Republican Party has a lot of work to do. And next time around, I think you guys will be going up against a pretty tough candidate, which is Hillary Clinton.
Without a doubt.
And not to mention the Obama team there is going to be helping them. So you guys have your work cut out for you there, and I think you have a lot of work there for as far as I know it's uphill. Have you gotten any indications to who your candidates are, the presumed nominees?
You know, it's far out, but you can kind of see who our up and rising candidates are. I think Senator Marco Rubio in Florida. We just elected Senator Ted Cruz in Texas, and Rand Paul in Kentucky has, you know, he filibustered about the drones, and that issue came up with the Attorney General, and so he's gotten a little bit of a spark. It's a few years out, so there'll be some wrestling between here and there. You know, we don't have a Hillary Clinton, so we need to find a good candidate.
Correct. We're going to take a short break and come right back. Okay, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back with Bob Cornelius. Okay.
How bad am I sweating?